Welcome back, noble heroes. We return to our episode of Mythia. But first, let me give you our pledge. We here at the Homebrew channel reserve the right to be horrible, crass, and crude when the story calls for it, but also to be delightful, sweet, and tug on your heartstrings. And remember, noble heroes, do try this at home. We return to our characters walking into the Adamantine Fortress, headed in the direction of the Adamantine Throne, where sits the Winter Child. You all will find a great skylight open in the roof of the Adamantine Fortress, being closed at the moment that you enter the Adamantine Throne Room. You find Ferik the Dragon has returned through that skylight, in fact, and is sitting next to a very large adamantine table. As you all approach, Queen Estrid is going to look over towards you. I assume that you all have heard the news.
We have.
I felt it necessary to inform my people of the danger that is coming their direction. She says. I sense your disapproval, Roland.
It would have been nice to have a heads up, but you did what you thought was best for your people. Can't blame you for that.
Why did you mention us by name?
She says, I did it for two reasons. First off, everybody already was guessing who you were. Everybody was interested about the fight with Pitt and who had bested him. Since everyone knew Roland was involved, they were going to find out who the rest of you were. If I held back the names, it would look like I was trying to hide the information, making it more valuable, and therefore more secretive, causing it to spread even faster. In addition, if I did keep your names away, the people would have additional fears, not knowing who was in charge of this effort. Perhaps it is of small comfort to you, but knowing who is responsible for the effort, who is guarding your life, can help you feel more calm about it, even if you have no more control over the event.
Well, I can understand your reasoning.
I'm afraid that I was unable to ask permission, because you could have said no.
I understand.
It's done.
I would have you know that Selenox, while not announced by anybody in particular, I believe that the news of fate's breaking, if not your names, has become fairly common. And in Giran, the kings have done a joint announcement. I do not know about any other nation, she says. Oh, no, she says, and Leona, I believe that it has already traveled through the church's hallowed halls there, and it is known among the clergy, but it will soon spread to the populace regardless. She says, Ferik, she nods over in the direction of the dragon, who's, he has a sort of large strap, sort of like an ammo belt over him at that moment, and he is taking it off over in the corner of the room and hanging it on these like giant pegs. Informed me of what happened at sea about Talgrass and Damleth. I assume you have some information to share. If that is the case, do you believe that Satan's hand is nearby? She says, sort of gesturing over the whole table, to which Juniper fairly starkly says that you basically don't know. The queen is going to say that with the upcoming speech that she was planning upon your leaving, it didn't feel right to hold an innate celebration, at least before the speech was given. It would have created a very odd vibe beforehand. Additionally, just by sheer mathematics, they had learned that the Holy Patrol was going to be leaving very soon. And she basically suggests that in order to avoid a potential faux pas on behalf of the Crown, they decided to wait until the Holy Patrol had moved on from the city in order to hold any manner of celebration. Additionally, she was delighted to hear that you all had succeeded in capturing the ship and offered that as an additional potential reason why a celebration might be held if you were to retrieve back Hero. So they waited, and she has sort of tentative plans to hold a celebration tomorrow night. Now, you all don't need to attend, of course, but you are completely invited to do so. She says, there is a great deal of interest in the city, both to thank you for the deeds that you have done and to meet you. I'm sure you can imagine the reasons why.
I think perhaps we'd like to discuss who might want to come.
She says, while it is tentatively tomorrow, if you do wish to attend and are unable to wait, it could be arranged to be tonight. It is about 1 p.m. at the moment. She says it was going to be a relatively small gathering of about 450 of the city's most important. Those who move and shake, if you will.
Are we in a rush?
Juniper is going to suggest that you were given a timeline by POSIX about Walk No Road's deadline to be alive.
Can we move it up to tonight then? And get it done with?
I'll send out the word immediately, she says. You will see a somewhat resolved expression on Juniper's face as she and the Queen discuss basically the details of how the populace took the message. And do you guys ask the Queen any questions?
Are the messengers able to come back now?
Yes, she says. I believe it was something maintained by Pitt's presence. We have not gained any more reports on him, but have you heard about the strange happenings in the water?
What?
Apparently, fishermen are pulling up pieces of golden debris. Most of it is...
I think we did hear
we did hear
thing.
about that.
Yeah.
That does not familiar now.
Mm-hmm.
It's currently theorized that Pitt simply dumped the contents of the Garen Bank in the ocean.
You mean the
Bridgewalk Bank, yes. The Bob. The Bank of Bridgewalk.
The Bob?
I like it.
Of course he did.
Well, I guess that does seem a little like something he would do.
Perfect.
Fortunately, it appears as though the guards, just this afternoon, she says perhaps an hour ago, came upon a rather kingly fisherman on the southern shoreline, about 10 miles south. He had been collecting golden goods from the bank in his nets for days and had been bringing them to his house, where he had a collection of nearly 40,000 gold pieces worth of goods, which he had stored in every available chest under his floorboards. So it seems as though if we will not recover it all, at least we'll have enough to function off of for the time being, thanks to your efforts.
It's good to hear.
She says, speaking of which, I was rather bluntly asked about a duck from your servant, Isaac, she says.
Is Prongboy in the room with us?
He is adjacent to you, and he's going to, there's like a look on his face. He says, you remember that you asked me to find out about that Dockmaster? He says, lying.
It's nothing, Your Majesty. Nothing at all.
Character.
He says, she is going to ask, a villain duck? She says rather drolly in your direction, questioning farther.
Yuffie and probably several of the crew are all going to be looking at Isaac now like, what?
We were accosted by a duck when the assault on the city started.
You see that by the resolve of fate, Estrid's face does not change.
He seemed to be magically inclined and was possessing civilians to do his bidding. That's all it was.
A duck named Drake.
I say yes.
She asks.
I say yes.
She says, I know him.
That's surprising. And how would you know a figure like him? He was disgusting.
He often frequents the ponds around the Adamantine fortress.
I see. And you all permit this?
I believe that the last time he was harassed by some local boys throwing sticks in his direction, he cast a lightning bolt upon them.
That sounds about right.
She says, he intentionally missed, but the point was gotten across. He is quite the powerful wizard. I believe he hails from the Emerald Lakes. Speaking of which, have you all heard the news about those lakes?
What? No.
Something perhaps to do with your quest has occurred there. Apparently, the entirety of the Emerald Lake has turned into an emerald gemstone.
Do you think it's a fluctuation of fate? Fate breaking?
We can only imagine it so, Varric says as he takes his place at the table. You will see the Owl Advisor, Nebel, sort of stand up from his seat alongside the adamantine throne and come over. He says, the sages of Bridgewalk have pondered that question, and we do believe it to be likely a cause of fate's breaking.
Well, I doubt there's anything we can do about it then. Except we're already doing.
He says, unless you have a mining operation.
Yuffie does not laugh.
Prongor's going like, wah! Oh, that owl's very funny, master. He's a very humorous owl. I'm afraid that you may all be on your way by then, but we will be having a funeral for Russell the Branches in about a week.
I am sorry for his loss.
She nods. He understood the risks of his efforts.
I don't think any of us could have anticipated what we would find.
Most certainly, Varric says. All right. And do you have any more to ask here at the table?
Not now.
Roland, I did want to ask if you planned on wearing your armor to the event.
I can.
There has been a suit made for you by one of the grateful citizens of Bridgewalk. If you would like to take a look at it.
Yeah, sure.
She nods. She will sort of lean across the table, not so close that it's just you and her hearing, but she sort of says it to you. She goes, those interested in fashion will be there tonight. And this individual is hoping that you will wear their garb and advertise for them.
He
Celebrity.
just smiles and turns away, and yeah, I understand.
The rest of you as well.
The rest of us want.
You have clothes, if you would like them.
She looks down at her pretty shoddy garb at this point.
She says, they're made by Aberan Torthamore. Isaac, you have heard of this person. They are considered the primo fashion designer, basically on Mythia. Their fate is something to do with like your ideas are blessed with creativity or something like that. Their designs of fashion are like the talk of Selenox.
The offer here is that this person has made clothes for us.
Yes, and would like you to wear them on the like idea that you will basically have your picture taken as representatives of this fashion magazine.
Oh, good lord.
It's like one of those things where you like need to remember their name and what
Yeah.
you're wearing, and then like you say it to like the paparazzi.
This is being offered to the whole group.
Yes.
Including the crew?
So it is for the fated questers. So Hero is included, but like not Dom or like Johnny.
Oh.
So you are included.
Gotcha.
Also, this is high fashion, so it's weird.
Euphemia is gonna go about it as if thinking like, okay, sure, I need some new clothes. Not expecting anything out of the usual.
Okay.
Actually, we could probably all use some spare clothing at this point.
Well, they are kept in the royal wardrobe, she says. I will have Nebel lead you there. She gestures over towards the owl, who, please, I'll take you there now.
She follows.
All right.
Are they gesturing to all of the crew or just us? Like, are they going to get new clothes for the rest of the crew too?
I think Daniel said
Or
just us.
Avant-garde. Okay.
So the clothes that have been offered to the group are for Roland, Euphemia, Isaac, Juniper, and Hero. But there are plenty of, if they wanted to, you're sure that new clothes would not be difficult to find.
Okay.
You are led to the royal wardrobe, which turns out to be about 500 yards long. As you enter, it has... Nebel's going to kind of like gesture vaguely with his claws and suggest that like it's half museum, half wardrobe, and they only use like 100 yards of it. The rest is outfits worn by like prior winter children from earlier ages. So as you're walking along, you're seeing like just these absurdly old-fashioned gowns and like suits with like these flowy octopus arms. And you're seeing like bell-bottom gowns, like shoes that are made of glass. You're looking at these like absurd, cutting edge fashion at the time. And you see varying sizes, even halfling clothing. And Hero's going to sort of like, there wasn't ever a meek winter child, was there? Oh, no. I don't believe there ever was, Nebel's going to say. Although I'm having difficulty thinking of another race that was not chosen. It's very strange considering how many meek make up the population of the city, he suggests. Hero's going to kind of like, plenty of half-elves, he says in Roland's direction.
Rolls his eyes.
And 66 halflings.
More than I would have expected.
1 tiefling, he says in Isaac's direction. And 1 devil. You guys stare awkwardly at each other for a minute.
He can't even see us staring, can he?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right. And as you go to the freshest, newest fashions, Roland, you are going to see it's not absurd, but it is strange. It's sort of a white tailored suit with like a very prim collar on it. And you see that its sleeves are sort of lace, and they're cut into the shape of like a spiraling tree going around the arms. The rest of the piece is fairly like bog standard, like fashion suit. Except you're fairly sure that there's gold thread woven into like the coat pocket. And it comes with a cane. And a top hat.
He'll put it on.
God.
Euphemia, you are going to look, and you have never worn so many clothes at one time before. The first thing you see is that there is a like golden gem bedazzled hairnet that you would recognize like as a very posh version of like standard halfling like mother. Like they wear like they put like a hairnet on and like pull their ponytail through. But it's like a ritzy version of that. And then it is a 3-layer gown with the outermost layer. So it's corset and then like and then like a dress and then an overdress. And you see that the overdress is this sort of satiny red, red and black, like almost like weaving together like a snake on it. It is daring and sort of cuts down one of your legs, going like up basically to the top of your thigh. And Isaac, you look at this robe. So you've seen like archwizards wear these gaudy, like overly bespeckled robes with like stars and moons on them, which you actually seen Mirbin wear something similar. This looks like a fashion-forward version of those old-timey wizard robes. And it comes with a pointed witch's cap with a single goat horn sort of spiraling up the cap and then
I almost
tipping
want to
off
say
at
mine's
the
the
top.
least weird out of all of them.
I think it is.
Juniper's is a sheer, like sparkling dress that is very slender. Like it requires a very specific body type to wear. And it comes with this like half masquerade mask coming with it. And then Heroes is going to be what Hero sort of refers to as traditionally meek. So it has wooden clogs.
That's so cute. Little clogs.
With like this like heel on them. Like a no joke, like 2 or 3 inch heel on it. And then it has like, the rest of it almost looks like a fashionable lumberjack. Basically, the hero sort of is going to like turn a little sheepishly, and he sort of gestures to it and he says, so when Meeks formed towns, one of the only, I guess, traditionally masculine jobs that Meeks ever did was cut down trees. And, you know, they would work in gangs of 40 or 50 on a tree because they'd get tired so quickly. So they'd rotate shifts. And then they would, the lumberjacks would generally be outside of the town, so they'd be the first people that everybody saw. And they kind of became associated with like exploration, because Meeks don't leave their town if they can do so. But the lumberjacks have to get to the trees. And so I think he's trying to suggest that I'm an athlete.
I love it when he over-explains things.
He thought it out surprisingly well. Whereas I look like an idiot.
Hey.
You look at
She
yourself
just
at the cat.
snorts. You do too. You do too.
So I would like to see how well, if you were putting these on, how well you wear them. So give me a charisma check, please.
Okay.
Well, I can say this. He's carrying the cane. He's not using
Oh my
it.
god.
What'd
I
you roll?
crit.
Oh, shit.
No shit.
You're like ravishing in this gown.
I rolled a 10.
Right, hero looks unbelievably ridiculous. The pants are like baggy and like are shorts, so they go down to like weight. They're like, they cut off like here, but his legs are just bare down all the way to these like clunky wooden clogs, and he's like, and he has to like walk with like a waddle because these clogs are so heavy. And then he's got like a lumberjack shirt on. So
like
he's just,
plaid, like,
yeah, it's just like a picture of like absurdity. Isaac, how about you?
I rolled an 8.
Okay.
I rolled a 10.
Jennifer has difficulty looking bad in a sheer gown, but it's clear that it wasn't designed with like, it didn't have her specific specs. June refuses to wear this dress.
I kind of think that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Jennifer looks at it and then is going to transform her own clothing to look like she put the dress on, but not put the dress on. And Isaac, what did you roll? I'm sorry?
I rolled an 8.
Okay. So there's just this awful color clash between the dusk of your skin and this like overly florally colored robe. Basically, you look like you put a zombie in a flower dress.
Oh, God.
I'm trying to get his picture here. Oh god, yeah.
Plus, putting the hat on, like he rode up the hat so that it actually sits on your
Oh,
horns.
that's so bad.
And sort of folds over them slightly. But your horns are slightly uneven, so the cap just like then that puts the goat horn off weight, so the cap just like droops to one side the whole time. It really doesn't do anything for the look.
Fantastic.
You look smashing, Master. Frongor
Thank
says.
you, Frongor.
Real winner, says, and a very impressive specimen of a designer.
Frongor, would you say that this outfit is helping me get my style back? And I'm gonna like read his face to see if he's honest with me or if he keeps bullshitting me.
He's going to like look up with this like thoughtful, like, oh, how do I put this? Expression. And then he goes, I'm not going to lie to you, master. It is not your style.
Thank you, Barbour.
It's much more my style.
Now, after this is all said and done, I think I may take you up on that.
You would need to bring out the waistline a great deal, master, in order to...
Perhaps.
Is everyone else in the room too? Like, does any other crew come with us?
So Bali came just to laugh at it.
That's why I was wondering.
And Dom, he went off to go get dressed on his own. He apparently didn't know whether this was going to be the case, but he did pick out some clothes from a local clothing store in case it was, because he wants to go. He suggests that apparently the food is going to be very good, and that sounds great. Meanwhile, Bali is going to say, so I'm going to go and see if Johnny is up in the quarters.
Okay.
She says, since we came back, apparently she kind of seems to not... Did you tell Bali about Jania's
Obsession with the...
flirting with the idea?
Yes.
She goes, I just want to see if there are any changes.
It's a good idea. I was hoping that we'd nip that in the bud.
She leaves. Hero is going to ask Nebel, so do we have like plus ones? Nebel is going to say, if you have people you would like to bring, just no more than a large group. He says, not giving any specified limit.
I assume any of my crew could come if they want.
Yes, he says. Hero turns to all of you. Hey, what do you think about inviting, looks like a rabbit and is big?
I don't see why not.
They were part of this last journey.
Yep. They saved you.
And is big is actually quite adept on a ship.
Zarafan is going to sort of look down towards Hero. He says, do you know where they live? I can find them, I think, he says. How? Well, if I can't find out where they live here at the castle, then I'm sure I can find them using my abilities.
You could find them in a city? That easily?
Yeah. There's a lot of meeks here. So we form a network of emotions, like little bridges you can follow.
That's incredible.
Pretty cool.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes. And
He kind of is like,
It's a big city.
you guys can't do that?
no, and to
You can't, like, I don't know, smell pheromones or something?
what?
Zarafan's going to be like, they can't. He is going to be like, oh, well, yeah, we can do that.
Can you communicate through it then? So like if you were looking for someone who wasn't a meek.
No, only a meek.
Still. It's impressive.
It's said that the first named meek reads fates, that he could follow those bridges to an individual meek and feel what they were feeling and feel whatever they felt from everyone around them. But it was only an ability that ever he had.
I'm glad you're bringing them with us then. Tonight. See
Yeah.
if they want to come. Further on the journey.
Roland, dear, you look dashing, Western says as you walk out of the wardrobe.
He, as soon as walking out, he takes the hat off and is just carrying it.
So, I received some mail from Garen.
How's the city taking the news?
What news? Have you already heard the news?
I think everybody's heard the news.
Oh, shit. I was hoping it was a little contained. Has Leslie already messaged you about it?
No, but I was gonna let her know everything's okay.
Is it?
I mean...
Is this okay? She has like a weird smile on her face.
We're all alive.
Was that a requirement?
I'm confused.
So am I. The news about us.
What about us?
She says, "Our dinner, dear," she says, and she's going to hold out the clipping of paper. As you look down, you see the headline.
Oh, no. He takes it.
You look at the rather timely picture taken to suggest a narrative by the headline that didn't really happen.
He just drops it and starts walking away. And then drops his hat. And then drops his cane.
She's going to run after you, pick up the pieces of your outfit, and so this is disappointing, she says.
In such shit.
From who?
You know who. Just leave me alone. And he's just gonna go to his room.
Is it interaction in front of all of us?
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty obvious about it.
He would have walked away a little bit. That last part was probably like 22.
Isaac, you look down and see the news clipping, the same one that Prongor presented you with on the floor that Roland just dropped.
Is Roland nearby?
He is walking off devastatedly.
Okay, he's gonna pick up the clipping and kind of crumple it up in his hand and shout out, "Roland, what are you so upset about?"
Western is going to look back. You see that she's upset, and she's going to sort of quickly walk away down a side hallway as Roland sort of like staggers away down the hallway towards what appears to be in the direction of your rooms.
Okay. Isaac watches both of them go and just lets them leave. He doesn't pursue it.
Yuffie would approach and say, "What exactly is that?"
As Yuffie comes forward, Prongor says, "Appears as though she's available, master."
Isaac doesn't respond, but he uncrumples the article and just kind of holds it up for Yuffie. It's just, it's gossip. No one's taking this seriously, but Roland seems rather upset.
Next thing you know, they'll be printing something about him going on a romantic sailing adventure with her.
Or perhaps with you.
That was awesome.
Dom is going to say, "Or perhaps with me," he says from behind you both.
Yuffie does laugh a little.
That would be much funnier if Dom was still like in shirtless surfer mode.
Dom has come back in, dressed rather smartly in a sort of traditional dwarven dress garb. So it's basically got like a kilt that's into a large bronze buttoned sort of sailor's overcoat. And then you can see in his one hand is a tricorn. With a little black feather in it. You think it's Cleeve's.
You do look rather dashing.
Well, do you think I look smart enough to get on a cover with Roland? He says.
I think so. Do you want to be on a cover with Roland?
He mouths no at you. He goes, "Is Jennifer all right? She seems rather dour."
I think she's perhaps needed some time to think.
So, Isaac, you are certainly a man who's been in the limelight before. Any devastating articles ever come out about you? Perhaps you might help Roland out of his funk.
Even if I had, I think I'm the last person in the world Roland wants to hear from right now. But perhaps it's worth a shot. Oh, I don't know. We tend to see things differently. I don't know if he'd appreciate my advice. Especially when he's feeling so, I don't know, volatile about all this.
Perhaps he needs a different perspective.
Maybe.
Well, if not him, then perhaps you might mend the fence with Western before she rather quickly gets out of here.
I suppose we don't want to lose her now, do we?
He says, "My hope was that we might convince her to take Roland's sword back to Garen, the broken one, so that it might get fixed. But if she is angry at him, she might consider that a favor too far."
I see.
What say you?
I'll speak with Western.
You're right.
I think I'll have more luck with her.
Well, best get after her then.
Okay, Isaac will take off.
Captain, now that Isaac is gone, I have something to speak to you about.
All right, shall we go to our rooms?
He nods. Indeed. As you shut the door, Dom and you alone. Captain, I have potential news of a unfortunate kind.
What?
I have reason to believe that your all's actions at sea have caused a rather dramatic act within Satan's hand.
What?
I believe that they are going to try to find this group and lay a full-out assault against this party with every member they can spare.
Any idea on when or plans?
Not yet.
Who's your source?
Captain, do you remember how I asked you before you left for your compass?
Yes.
I believe I can find all the answers you need with that compass.
It has to be something that you want more than anything else. What is it you're not telling me?
I believe we may have an errand to run then, before I'm able to use that compass. Unfortunately, the one thing I want more than anything else right now is that damn whale.
I had a feeling we needed to take care of it.
It would seem as though Little Walks doesn't have the time for us to head to the north, though.
Tell me this. From everything you've seen, is it clear to the populace that the Outrunner is involved with this mission?
I cannot possibly imagine that its presence hasn't been noted. It's the only true pirate ship in the docks currently, and with the scare from the pirates, I'm sure that there must have been an excuse given by the Royal Guard as to its presence. So, it must have been named.
I've been wondering for some time, she says, about whether a time would come when we would need to split the crew.
Unfortunately, I believe that potentially, unless you all are going to be traveling on foot, this could be the worst possible time to split the crew. However, there may be an opportunity tonight. If Roland is feeling up to it.
For what?
There are plenty of potential heroes here in the city of Bridgewalk, he says. Several of them were mind controlled by Pitt during that event, and were freed of his mind control. Gaining their aid might allow us to deal with some of these difficulties that have come up.
You mean being able to split our attention better?
That's what I mean.
We need more allies. We might as well use this information getting out as a way to access those allies. Did you have your eye on any in particular? I know you're always thinking at least 10 steps ahead.
Well, one as an active participant, and another as an advisory participant, perhaps, he says. There is the Paper Mage. She owns a building here in the city. I don't believe she was possessed by Pitt, but I do believe that she would have knowledge that we could access. And then...
Don't say the doc.
I won't say the duck. But he is a powerful wizard, he says. That mercenary, you told me that Potjack spoke about that mercenary moth.
Potjack, controlled by Pitt, spoke of that mercenary.
Even if that mercenary was controlled by Pitt, he says, I know Moth's reputation well before we encountered this dealings, and she is known to be reliable. It is possible that Pitt asked Potjack what kind of mercenaries he knew in the area, and maybe he paid him for a job, or her for a job. But either way, Pitt wouldn't be here to deliver any payment, and Moth is known to be a capable fighter. Something worth asking about, although I doubt she'd be at the dinner tonight, he says. And the one that I was thinking about most thoroughly is Norn, Beast Tamer. He's a one-eyed human man, a bard. Apparently his fate allows him to use music to control animals.
Interesting.
If we're looking at a whale, potentially that could be an animal, he says.
And you think they all might be amenable to being approached?
I think so, and I believe at least the Paper Mage will be there tonight. if it does happen tonight. If not, Norm.
As much as I hate rubbing elbows with all the movers and shakers, as the Queen said.
Well, these are going to be some make-upped elbows tonight, Captain.
You know I hate this.
One good thing about going to a place with plenty of high brows is you get high-quality food. He smiles. And drink, if that's your fancy.
Perhaps if we're going to try to convince them, we should try to get the aid of both Roland and Juniper in convincing them.
Probably a wise idea.
I have a feeling that Roland's reputation alone will have a lot of weight.
If Isaac feels uncomfortable about approaching Roland, how do you feel about it, Captain?
I suppose it falls to me to do it.
And, Captain, I'm sure it is understandable that you would wonder how I got this information. At the moment, it is quite a complicated and long tale. Needless to say that it was something that I was doing when I should have been with Hero. I have access to old connections here at Richwalk that I've been tapping.
Is this something from the dark past that Roland's talked about before?
It is. I don't want to complicate it or muddy any waters at the moment. Needless to say, it is a long tale that can wait.
Go ahead, sorry.
I promise. I will explain.
Euphemia steps forward and claps him on the shoulder. Are you with me?
I'm here, Captain.
That's good enough for now. And she gives him a bit of a fond smile. She's become more and more attached to him over the journey as almost a stand-in for Ronan, as she never gets to see him anymore.
Captain, what do you think about me throwing a harpoon in with this traditional dwarven dress? Sort of a powerful statement.
You know, I think there could be a little bit more fun at these kinds of things. Bring whatever you like.
He nods. All right. So, Isaac, you said you went off after Western?
He did, but halfway there he remembers that he pissed off Western last time they spoke, and he begins to think maybe he should go talk to Roland instead.
Okay. Do you?
I think he is, yeah.
All right. Then I need to know, Euphemia, you're going to come to Roland's quarter and find Isaac, like, in the doorway, talking to him. Do you leave or do you go towards them?
She's gonna sort of wait a beat to hear that if it's going okay.
All right. Isaac, you're at Roland's door.
Okay. Is the door open or closed?
It would be closed.
Isaac's going to walk up to your bedroom door and give it a polite double knock and say, Roland, do you have time to talk?
Sure.
Do you mind if I come in?
Go for it. He's laying on his back, on his bed, still boots on, in this ridiculous fucking outfit. And he's just throwing a ball up and catching it.
Was your door locked?
No.
Isaac's going
You
to
open the door.
gently click the door shut behind him. Isaac's also still wearing his ridiculous outfit. Oh, good. I was half expecting to find you face down in your mattress. He's going to take a seat and kind of take off his ridiculous hat and put it on the floor. What has gotten you so upset back there?
I haven't reached out to my partner this whole time. And I was going to write her when we got back here. And now the first thing she's going to see from me is a gossip headline of me having dinner with a girl she does not like.
That explains a lot. So,
Yep.
no letters from when you left until now, basically. Not to say that you haven't been busy.
I know. Yeah, but it's pretty shitty.
That's a tough one for sure. Isaac's going to recrumple the piece of paper and throw it in the trash.
You know how great I am with words too, so I'm interested to see how I talk myself out of this one.
Well, she knows how great you are with words too.
Oh yeah, she's aware.
I know that you guys have been together for a while, and I think she knows that this is just gossip. It's from a tabloid. She's not going to be taking it seriously.
I hope so. But she hasn't written me either.
Are you worried that something's going on?
No, I'm just worried she's mad.
Well,
and why am I worried about that right now? There's so many other things wrong.
I wanted to suggest exactly that. That headline about you and Estrin went out this week, but guess what also went out this week? World-shattering news that fate is breaking. That news spread like wildfire. The two back-to-back, I don't think anyone is paying any mind to this headline about you. You're too focused on this. And I think the same goes for her. If you were to write her a letter now, I think she'd be willing to just put this behind the two of you and focus on what's important.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Isaac stands up and he says, plus, I know we haven't gotten to know each other all that well, but I do know that your relationship with her is made of tougher stuff than this. This is petty squabbling. She's not going to get hung up on this. She'll just be happy to finally hear from you.
I hope you're right.
Isaac's going to pull out a quill and a piece of paper and leave it on your bedside table and say, she misses you. Everyone back at home does. Don't leave them waiting any longer, just because of this. And he's going to walk out of the room.
How
Like
does
shit right now.
how does Roland feel?
I mean, very wrong about Isaac.
What do you do?
He'll probably sit up and start writing.
As Isaac's walking down the hallway, away from your bedroom, he has a moment of realization about his own family, hearing this news about him being a fated hero to fix the world, and he's his mind just crashes for a second. He's like, oh god, what is this going to lead to?
Euphemia, first, Isaac gained a hero point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
straight up, Julian, that was amazing. I legitimately, my eyes completely filled up with tears.
Isaac would make a great counselor.
shit, dude, that was awesome. Fuck.
It took me a second to kind of find my groove there.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that really, That really hit me.
Euphemia, you come around the corner and find Isaac has crashed.
He's leaning back against the wall and he kind of has like a hand rubbing his forehead.
Did it not go well? She asks.
Oh, I think it went fine. I think Roland is feeling better, but I just realized that I haven't spoken to my own family since the news went out.
At the mention of family, her face closes off a little bit.
Sorry.
Oh, perhaps.
Go ahead.
Perhaps you should write them. And I thought you were going to deal with Western.
I was, but I tried to deal with Western once already in the past 24 hours, and it went horribly.
I suppose she's my task now.
And tag along if you'd wish. But I think it would just make things worse.
I can take care of her. Perhaps you're due a little bit of a breather.
Thank you, Captain. Good luck. She's,
Oh, she is, isn't she? And then she turns off and heads back.
Roll a perception check to see if you can find Western.
Dude, I also don't mean to interrupt this, but I love that Isaac calls her captain.
I do too,
It's
actually.
such a great character. You never break and call her Euphemia. It's so sick.
I did at the start of the game, or the campaign rather, but it shifts over time.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
love it. A perception check, you said?
Yes.
Okay. 21.
21. You will, in fact, find Western. She is on one of the tall parapets of the Adamantine Fortress, looking out over the southern, shepherd lands, all the way to the Sky Range. And there are these, pink dolloped clouds in the sky as the sun, it's probably 3, and these gumdrop clouds are sort of sailing along, creating these big shadows across the grasslands.
It's beautiful here, she says as she approaches.
Oh, hi. You wanted to look out?
Not especially. Just came to check.
She goes, you did?
Yeah, I did. How are you doing?
Are you here to comfort me?
Well, I'll warn you ahead of time, I'm shit at it, but after a fashion.
Roll a persuasion check.
Damn it. 13. I should have used my inspiration.
She says, well, I appreciate it, but I think it's time for me to head back to Garen. She says, can tell when I am a third wheel.
Wait, she says. Look, I know we didn't get off on the best foot, but you did help save my ship and my crew, and I do respect you.
And you very generously gave me the ability to stomp on some other pirates' necks. I think it's a fair trade. You don't need to do this, Euphemia. I'm a big girl. I've been turned down before. I thought that perhaps Roland had stumbled his way into a relationship with me, but it's clear that I'm not his type.
What do you like about him so much? I mean, sure, he's attractive, but that can't be what it is.
Why not? Because you saw something inside of me.
Yes, she says, point blank.
I didn't think you'd be so open about it. I had heard rumors about your fate. What did you see? What information did you gain on me?
Pause for a second. Out of game, trying to think back to everything that she saw.
You saw her upbringing as a sort of abused youth with the weight of her family on her shoulders. Sort of fiery drive to succeed at all costs. And a desire to be not only successful, but well known for that success. And to have the best of everything.
She says, I saw a woman who had an upbringing that was perhaps not entirely dissimilar from my own at points.
I cannot possibly imagine that to be true.
I'm no noble, but I'm sure you caught on to that. But I know what it is to suffer.
And yet I do sense a bit of schooling.
You'd be right.
Get those calculations on the ship much too fast.
I wasn't born noble. But at some point I got entrapped under the control of one. That's where my suffering was.
She's sort of going to grimly smile. Well, now it's sounding more like we're akin.
Say that again. Not
Well, now it's sounding more like we're akin. She says, "Write Euphemia Carr, if that's your real name.
It is.
Well, it is handsome. But it is reputation that I prize."
The best, she says.
Yes.
And you want fame for yourself as well.
You don't? She says, "You don't?"
I never wanted it before, but I don't like attention, but I do like power, she says.
I find they often go hand in hand.
I'm finding that too.
This is very strange.
What, speaking with a low-born halfling and finding a similarity?
Yes.
No stranger than me speaking with a high-born noble and knowing that there's a part of me that understands you. The weight of family. The weight of purpose. The way you can feel like you're drowning in it. Have you thought about joining us?
Roll persuasion check, DC 22.
Can she use her inspiration, or can I use my inspiration first?
Yes.
Persuasion check, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's not gonna make it. 15.
As much as I am a talented swordswoman and a merciless killer, I am not an adventurer, per se. It seems like you have quite a journey on your hands, and I hate boats, and I'm not a great fan of walking off-night. In addition, Garen needs me. While I may be from Diamond Straits, Garen is my home, and they've called the Sword Pact. They're closing their walls. They're bringing back the army.
To prepare.
Yes.
Then you want to protect your home. Your real home. Oh. Can't say I'm not disappointed, but I understand.
You're not as cute as I thought.
I'm going to take that as a compliment. I think it's meant as well.
I very well think it might.
She reaches her hand out. Maybe meet again.
She's going to reach down and shake your hand. I've never met a halfling like you before.
You know, you're not the first person to tell me that.
You're rather imposing for a halfling.
You can just say bitch, it's okay.
No, you're not a bitch. Commanding.
We have to be to get what we want, don't we?
I suppose one who's chosen the lifestyle that you have might. Ozzy stands adjacent to you in Western. Letter.
Does he gesture to Yuffie or her?
He holds out a very small, brown papered letter towards Yuffie
She takes it.
from Marigold.
She freezes.
Shall I remain for you to read?
Yes, a moment. Western would see that Yuffie looks very shaken. She unrolls the parchment.
If you're not in need of aid, perhaps you would like some privacy.
Yes.
Have a good day. She walks past Bozix. As you open the letter, your eyes disbelieve. This is your sister's handwriting.
What does it say?
My dearest sister. Euphemia. It is me. Pearl. Recently, with all that occurred, I wish to write you and reveal a happening of great magnitude. I have been freed. I believe it's because of fate's breaking, but I am no longer without my emotions and hidden this fact from our stepmother. She still believes that I am as she remembers me and will do nothing to dissuade her of that notion. I have heard of your exploits even here in Aragoth, and I'm reaching out to you. I need your help. Seraphina is growing suspicious of my actions and will likely soon realize the truth, after which we will likely never see each other again, even if I survive the revelation. I know what you are doing is of the utmost importance, but I am begging you, please come and rescue me from her clutches. You cannot imagine the horrors she has enacted upon me. Do not send a messenger back to me. She is already suspicious, and has dictated that all the mail be first checked by herself. And if you think to, do not contact me by spell. She has wards put upon the house that prevent some of her guests from receiving outside aid during negotiations, which would likely trigger if you use magic to send to me. I can hardly leave the house, and never know when I will be allowed. I wish I could tell you all that I wish to say in this letter, but I am pressed for time in writing. Please know I was terrible to you the last time when we were close, but I've returned to my senses. Please come.
Euphemia waves Posix away just with a gesture. And she rolls up the note. And she just falls. Curled up right there.
Roland, you finish your letter.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear a thunderbolt?
What?
You thought you heard Posix.
Yeah.
Suddenly, you hear...
He hops up and runs to the door.
Greetings, Roland Tarkan. I'm here delivering mail for another. I was wondering if you had any mail to deliver.
For once, I do.
What
You'll-
incredible timing.
He just kind of rolls his eyes. This guy. He runs back to the desk and folds it up and hands it to him.
He says, I shall see it delivered to Garrett immediately.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping my people. We are able to enter the city once again, thanks to your efforts.
No problem, man.
He nods. He's going to turn and disappear. Isaac Crowley, Posix says from behind you as he appears with a thunderclap. I am here delivering mail to another in your party. Do you have any mail to deliver?
Posix, good to see you again. Today, nothing. But sometime soon I will.
He says, I am merely a coin away. I need to thank you for the efforts that you and your group made. The messengers are now able to enter Bridgewalk once again.
Isaac gives him a slight bow.
I would have you know, I have told Juniper. I am extending your timeline by a week.
4 walks, I presume?
That is correct.
I'm glad to hear. Thank you.
Goodbye. You think you hear him zip to the throne room and elsewhere. And then one final loud clap as he disappears. How long do you remain up on that parapet?
At least an hour. Crying like a child. Like she hasn't cried in many years.
Do you do anything with the dagger?
Not yet.
After about a half hour, a guard is going to walk unceremoniously up the stairs. He's going to look down. Excuse me, ma'am. I need to be at my post. I only need to stand over here, he says, pointing at a spot about 2 feet away from where you are.
She gathers herself and starts to walk down back to her room.
That guy is going to, look out, roiling through his entire 5-hour shift, wondering what that halfling girl was crying about so hard. He comes up with dozens of theories, eventually settling that a lover broke your heart. Night begins to fall. Isaac, what have you done?
I think tonight he would actually sleep.
More of the party, bud.
What about that party?
Oh, that party. I'm fast forwarding too far ahead. Yeah.
You are.
A castle messenger not an actual messenger, but like a deliverer, is going to bring Isaac the Guardian's Eye wrapped in a leather bag.
I asked them if they have any word of... This went to the researchers, didn't it, before they brought it back to me?
It is delivered with a notebook. The servant is just going to hand them to you. You don't know if this servant would have an explanation.
If there's a notebook included, I don't ask. I thank him and take it.
All right. There is a discreetness to the servant's movements, and you're going to see that unbeknownst to you, a stairwell, sort of a secret stairwell, has opened up on the other side of the hallway. Likely a servant's stairwell used in the oldest of castles. One of which the servants can move unseen by those
How much longer do we
occupying
have until the party?
castle. About an hour.
Isaac will spend that hour reading through the notebook.
It is mostly a suggestion of Guardian technology. What little Bridgewalk has on catalog from their many, many eons of existence. They think it's an eye. They believe it is one of a multi-faceted, singular eye-like structure that normally contains a sort of sterilized liquid substance, filling basically like a cavity in its head. This one appears to be inert. Although with their experiments, there is some information here that's interesting. It appears as though electrical currents can cause activity within the structure. And when it is turned on, it appears to view electrical and energic current, able to view magic, and occasionally even...
Okay. Is that
fate.
Most of what's in the notebook?
Yes. Additionally, there is a design here for an electrical generator. There are basically magical lightning batteries that you plug into a little engine, and then you stick it on the eye. And that's how they got it to work. It has the design here for that.
Okay. Oh, Isaac's thinking about how mad June would be if he brought it to the party with him.
So mad.
So bad.
He's going to tuck it beneath his mattress in his quarters here in the castle.
Okay. Roland, your note has been sent.
Do you want to know what it said?
I need to know at least roughly what it said, yes.
Okay, because it's going to be just roughly what it said. It would have said, Dear Leslie, I'm sorry, I haven't talked to you in a while. Still alive. I'm sure you heard about Bridgewalk. Everything's okay. The meat got captured. I killed a dragon. The dragon from a long time ago. You know the one. And I'm sure you saw the papers, and I'm really sorry for that. Hopefully we'll be back in Garen soon.
You could not be more Roland if you tried. POSIX took your note without looking at any of its contents. Did you envelope it?
Yeah, it just...
Right.
That's the best
Did you
thing.
seal it with your seal?
No, probably not.
All right, an open letter. He says it will be there before nightfall. And he's gone.
Cool.
What did you do in the castle up into the party?
He would have probably, I don't know, he probably would have just stayed in his room until someone let him know that the party was starting.
All right. Zarafan is going to come to your room. He knocks on... Is your door open or closed?
It would have been open at this point.
He knocks on your open door.
What's up?
He looks very good in a tightly fitted suit. Very much like a tuxedo.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "So, how are you?"
I'm better. Isaac came and talked to me earlier and kind of talked some sense into me. But, how you feeling?
All right. I was, coming to ask you some questions about... What do you remember from the first time we met? In the resting lands.
I mostly just remember her. Anymore.
I don't know if you know this, Roland. I've only ever seen 4 paladins come to fruition. And only 1 paladin of protection. You. Do you know that I trained Harper as a paladin of protection?
No, I didn't know that.
It was more personal. I did a lot more work with him. But in the end, he didn't choose protection. He chose vengeance. Probably more his style.
I mean, given what happened to him.
I heard Prongor in the hallway earlier talking about... He doesn't say Prongor, I'm sorry. He says, I heard Western talking earlier to Isaac, suggesting that your desire to let your enemies live was a weakness. They seem to agree that it was. I figured I'd come over here and even the odds and tell you that it's not a weakness.
Of course they would think about that.
But that's just it, isn't it? That's the general consensus. Being a paladin of protection is hard. But I want you to know that even though we're not particularly close, I take pride in that part of my life. That you came out of it. And Leslie, both of you have done so much for the world. Stuff that I can't really do with my...
limited time.
I wish. Station. Being an angel means something to certain people. Prevents you from acting unilaterally. People are much more accepting if a human or a half-elf or one of the people of Mythia acts to save someone. But if an angel does it, it's a decree from heaven, and it carries more meaning than I would like.
I understand. Well, I'm glad I don't let you down.
You don't let anybody down, if you can do it. That's what I respect about you, Roland. Most people, when they feel that weight, they try to put it off. That's what makes you different.
I do put off the other things, though.
He smiles. He says, I knew about your interesting story before we left for Bridgewalk. Before we left, he says for the Outrunner. I send Leslie a note. explaining what was happening. I explained that we were busy on a very important mission, and that your dinner was friendly. Did you know that we're pen pals?
No, but I'm feeling incredibly lucky that you are.
He says, Leslie somehow manages to write about 25 letters a week, maintain fairly consistent connections with all of her teachers from the Phoenix School. As much as you are special, Roland, I've never met a woman like Leslie before. But I have learned from very long relationship that you have to put work into these things to maintain them. Being together means something more than being together when you're physically close. And sometimes it's the hardest struggle of all. Especially when you're not near each other very often.
I understand.
And I think she's worth it. If I can say so from my perch.
Thanks, I appreciate it. You coming and talking to me about this. And looking out for me.
Also, Dom had a fairly good idea. Western left about an hour ago to head back to Garen.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to convince her to take your sword back with her, to try to fix it.
That would be awesome, because then I don't have to be the one to look them in the face and hand them back the broken sword.
Also, you may be interested to know that your sisters Mary and Carrie are currently working with Leslie. They're in Alirna.
So they're not doing anything bad, I guess.
Somebody may have hired them from afar.
Huh. Well, I'm very thankful for somebody.
He's going to sort of secretly smile. Well, I'll see you at the ball.
See you there. You look way better than me.
Really? I feel like I'm a little old-fashioned.
You look like you dressed yourself.
He says, so that I'll be the odd one out here.
Uh-huh.
As you walk down the hallway, so I'm going to need you all to imagine a specific vision that I will paint for you now. So as Roland is walking down the hallway, confidence to his steps, Euphemia, you're going to come right behind him on the side stairwell, and then Isaac to the other side, forming a triangle of confidently walking individuals. There might be some music playing in the background. And then Hero's going to come out from the side corridor and sort of like crack his knuckles as he throws on his lumberjack cap, and you all step into a coach. Head off to one night of frivolity. And we will end the session there, Noble Heroes, for the time being. And I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a like and subscribe. And remember, do try this at home.